Chair, you have a live mic.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Full house. What, are they giving out free breakfast at the door, or what's going on? You guys all know where you are. This is Board of County Commissioner meeting, right? You know, I don't think you won the lottery or something like that. Okay, so we have a really full agenda today. Just a couple of reminders, since we do have a full house. Please put your phones on silent, okay? We don't want to hear your Pink Panther theme when your phone rings and that sort of thing. And if a lot of people are here to speak at the podium and you haven't done that before, you have 3 minutes. We don't cut you off the second the light's on, but be cognizant of your time. If somebody before you already said what you wanted to say, you could say, you know, I pass if you're going to be repetitive, but you get your 3 minutes, so I don't say that to cut anybody off. And then, you know, we really work hard to keep this a very professional meeting. You know, I've said before, tongue in cheek, and God rest his soul, you know, this isn't the Jerry Springer show. So people screaming out and clapping and hooting and hollering, we don't do any of that in here. We really try to keep it professional and give the person at the podium the respect they deserve. So when you come to the podium, you get that same respect. Having said that, we're going to start with the prayer, and then I'm going to ask Commissioner Chris Hall, who will be our next chairman in January. We switch chairs. We all take turns. So Commissioner Hall, I would ask him to lead us in the pledge after the prayer.
There you are.
All right. Huge honor to be here. God, we thank you for this opportunity we have to have a meeting here and to get wisdom from heaven. I ask that you would guide our elected officials. We thank you for them. We ask your blessing on this meeting. We thank you, Lord, as we looked last night to the sky and saw the beauty of your goodness, Lord. We thank you for the goodness of God. We ask, God, that you would just give calmness and just peacefulness, and Lord, everything to be done with wisdom. And we just ask your guidance over this meeting. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not a bit. Appreciate it.
Okay, County Manager, let's roll.
Good morning. Agenda changes for the Board of County Commissioners meeting December 12th, 2023. First is to continue item 16F3 to the January 9th, 2024 BCC meeting. This is a recommendation to establish a policy for leasing a county-owned mobile home at the Paradise Coast Sports Complex to law enforcement officers for greater on-site law enforcement presence, adopt a standard lease template, and authorize the county manager or their designee to execute such leases. This is being moved at staff's request. We have a correction to item 17C. The whereas staff also recommends changes statement on page 2 needs a date change to October 1st, 2023. October 1st, 2024 was listed in the uploaded resolution. Items 10A and 10B are both sponsored by Commissioner Saunders. And we have a series of time certain items. Item 10A is to be heard at 10 a.m. This is a Golden Gate Golf Course presentation. Item 11C to be heard at 11 a.m., which is to have the board hear a presentation by Resource X relative to board direction to recommend an approach to achieve improved budget priority alignment, efficiency, cost containment, accountability, and transparency. And item 10B to be heard at 1 p.m., which is an advertisement for a 12-month moratorium on privately initiated growth management plan amendment applications for properties located adjacent to 1. Immokalee Road from I-75 east to Oil Well Road, and 2. Vanderbilt Beach Road from I-75 east to its end, while growth management plan amendments are vetted with public and advisory boards. We have court reporter breaks set for 10:30 and 2:50. With that, County Attorney?
No changes, thank you.
Commissioner, changes and ex parte disclosure on the consent and summary agenda.
Okay, Commissioner Cole, sir, do you have any changes or ex parte?
No changes, and no ex parte on summary or agenda. There's summary and consent.
Okay, Commissioner Saunders?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no changes to the agenda and no ex parte.
Commissioner McDaniel?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair. And no further changes, and I do have one declaration on 16A17. I've had emails and calls.
Commissioner Hall?
No changes and No ex parte.
I have no changes, and I have some declarations on 9E. I have meetings and emails. It was a Marco Shores issue.
Not time for that.
Summary.
Next.
We need a motion to accept the agenda with changes.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, you got a motion by Commissioner McDaniel, second by Commissioner Cole. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next.
That brings us to approval of minutes. First is the meeting minutes for September 7th, 2023 budget meeting.
I'll move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Motion approved by Commissioner Saunders. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hall. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Next, item 2A2 is meeting minutes from the September 21st, 2023 budget meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner McDaniel. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
And finally, 2A3 is the meeting minutes from the November 14th, 2023 BCC meeting.
Okay, motion approved by Commissioner Cole, second by, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hall. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Whose phone was that rang? It seemed like it was over in this area here, it wasn't? Okay, all right. All right. If it's out in the crowd, you get a pass. If it comes from anywhere here, I mean, bad stuff's gonna happen.
He panicked and ran out.
Okay. Next.
That brings us to item 3, awards and recognitions. We do have a series of employee recognitions today. Let's start with our item 3A1 20-year attendees. First, we have 20 years, Randall Lewis from Water. Congratulations.
Come on down, Randall. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right. He wasn't sure what to do. He was like, yeah, that's me. Randall Lewis right here. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Congratulations. Randall? Oh, here, I'll take that sticky. I'm sorry.
Next 20 years, Bill Fasold, Communications, Government, and Public Affairs. Congratulations.
William?
Next up, item 3A2 is our 25-year attendees. First, we have 25 years Roy Hendry, wastewater. Congratulations. "25 years, Janet Pereira, library."
All right, librarians, hold it down back there, okay? All right. Is the Dewey Decimal System, we're still using it or no? I didn't need to learn that, right? I really didn't, right? Thank you, ma'am. Congratulations.
Item 3A3, 30-year attendees. Our first is 30 years, Richard DeGallen, Parks and Recreation. Congratulations. 30 years, Martha Velos, Operations and Regulatory Management. Congratulations. That's all we have. That brings us to item 4, proclamations. Item 4A is a proclamation designating January 16th, 2024 as National Religious Freedom Day, to be accepted by Greg Harper, President, Inspired Learning Center, and other distinguished guests. Congratulations.
Who's the other distinguished guest? That's it? That's Greg, good seeing you. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's like saying, hi, Bob. It's Greg and Brad.
To get the glare, so you don't have the glare on it.
All right, here we go again. Smile on 3. 1, 2, 3. You're good. Thank you.
We got the one here.
Item 4B is a proclamation designating January 12th, 2024 as Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Prayer Breakfast Day in Collier County, to be accepted by Bishop Rick L. Neal and other distinguished guests. Congratulations.
Pastor, how are you? There you are. I wasn't hardly picking you up. Back to you.
Don't tell him.
Don't tell him that.
Yeah.
He'll believe you.
Threw up in my mouth.
What's not to love? You're in the right spot.
Oh, yeah. She's not doing any bossing, so you're
Yeah,
good.
see, you just stand still. There you go.
Item 4C is a proclamation designating November 2023 as Distinguished Public Service Awards Month in Collier County, to be accepted by Russell Budd, Event Chair, Distinguished Public Service Awards, and President, Collier County 100 Club, and other distinguished guests. Congratulations.
Good morning.
How's my friend?
Danny.
Morning, sir. Which one of you's driving that big truck in the parking lot? Good, sir. Good morning, man. How are you? Morning, sir. Good morning. How's my friend?
One more time. Well, one more. There you go. Thank you, sir.
Look at there. I don't know, she's directing traffic for her own benefit.
Commissioners, if we could get a motion to accept the proclamations?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, got a motion from Commissioner Hall, second from Commissioner McDaniel. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
That brings us to item 5, presentations. Item 5A is the Artist of the Month, and I'm going to hand it over to Mr. John Mullins to give the introduction and introduce the artists.
Thank you. For the record, John Mullins, your Director of Communications, Government, and Public Affairs, and we're here today to recognize some artists from around Collier County. The Centennial Public High School Art Contest celebrating Collier County's 100th anniversary received 111 pieces of artwork from talented student artists from across the county, showcasing Collier County landmarks, our unique natural environment, residents at work and play, the diverse culture of our residents, and historical scenes and figures. And with the extraordinary assistance provided by the administrative leadership at Collier County Public Schools, namely Mr. Skip Pardee and Ms. Leslie Lochran, who are behind me, the leadership of our high school's art teachers, and in conjunction with our distinguished judge and generous community benefactor, Mr. Bill Meek, Director Emeritus of the Harmon Meek Gallery, and his daughter Juliana, who are also here, we're here today to recognize the winner from each high school and the overall winner of the Centennial Art Contest. Now, these winners are your Artists of the Month, or, if you prefer, your Artists of the Century. The work of the winners and those receiving honorable mention are on the display at the rear of the boardroom and on rotation on your TV screens. And at this time, I'd like to invite Skip to come forward to say a few words and to announce the winners of the contest, who will gather here at the front of the dais as their names are called, followed by Mr. Meek to talk about the generous scholarships being provided by his family, his evaluation of the art submitted, and how he made the difficult choices in arriving at our winners. And at the end of Mr. Meek's comments, we'd like to take a group photo of the winners with the board, the Meeks, and our school district partners. Skip?
Thank you, Mr. Mullins. We are so proud to be here today to represent the amazing artwork of Collier County Public Schools students. So on behalf of the school board chair, Kelly Lichter, and the rest of the school board, and our amazing superintendent, Dr. Leslie Riccadelli, her cabinet, and our administrative leadership, we just want to say thank you for this amazing support. This is truly an amazing interagency cooperation and coordination. We believe wholeheartedly that the arts play an integral role in the education of our students in Collier County Public Schools, and it contributes certainly to, in case you've seen it yesterday, the newly renewed, A-rated school district here in Collier County Public Schools, and the arts is a major part of that. Yes, absolutely. That's worth a round of applause, I think. Thank you. A special thank you, of course, to John Mullins, Deb Curry, and the communications team, and to Leslie Lochran, our amazing staff in the visual arts department, and, of course, to the Meek family for their great contributions to the scholarships for the winners. It'll go a long, long way in our school system for a robust arts education for our students. We'd like to recognize our winners, of course, representing each of our schools, and we have some who couldn't make it today, but we're going to recognize them, of course, publicly here. From our newly minted Aubrey Rogers High School, Juliette Desrosiers. Yeah, we'll do it after. Yep, no problem. And from Barron Collier High School, Isabella Grissom. And representing Everglades City School, Eswara Harris. I'd like to take this time for a special recognition of their art teacher who's here, Mr. Paul Tribble, who has been at Everglades City School for 47 years. 48, pardon me. We'd like to thank and recognize Cassidy Sullivan from Gulf Coast High School, who couldn't be with us today. Is Cynthia Hidalgo from Golden Gate with us? No? Okay, so we wanted to congratulate Cynthia Hidalgo from Golden Gate High School. Many thanks. And also, from Lely High School, Christopher Epperson, his amazing artwork from Lely, who I don't believe could make it with us today also. Representing Naples High School, Madison Reba. And from Palmetto Ridge High School, Emmanuel Zambrano. And our overall winner of the Centennial Art Contest from Collier County Public Schools from Immokalee High School, Angel Aguilar Calmo. I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Meek for his message.
I brought the 5-page version, but I lost my ability to speed read, so I'm going to leave it to the half-page version. I want to first thank all the students with the public high schools in Collier County who took the time to express themselves with the art that they so carefully created in honor of the county's 100th anniversary. The overall quality of each painting in various media made my duty as judge all the more difficult. With 110 entries is amazing. The fact that we had so many good entries is due in part to the guidance and encouragement of their art teachers and the Collier County School District. Some students participated on their own, proving what we've always believed, that talent can come from anywhere. Harmon Meek Gallery, which celebrates its 60th anniversary in Naples next month, is very pleased to present these awards to the students whom I selected. Congratulations to all of you. Did a wonderful job. And there are honorable mentions also, because there were so many good, it's hard to pick a winner. Our gallery has supported the arts in the county in many ways, from sponsored field trips to the establishment of 3 public collections for all to enjoy. We established the collections that became the Baker Museum in 1996. In 1998, we established a legacy collection of Collier County artists over a 50-year period at what is now the Naples Art Institute, was the Von Liebig Art Center. And then I started a collection in the early 2000s of children and animals as a subject in American art at the Galazzano Children's Museum of Naples. And I've also organized and lent more than 230 exhibitions to 90 museums in 27 states since 1980. And I am a Naples High School graduate, class of 1968. And at that time, we didn't have any art teacher. So I still made it as an art dealer for 50 years. Thank you very much. Thank you all. I'll stand behind the winner.
Where's our art teacher who served for 47 years? You're not getting out that quick. Sir, come up to the front here. Let's hear it for 47 years of dedication for this young man. 48? That's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Commissioners, item 5B is a presentation of the Collier County Business of the Month for December 2023 to Residence Inn by Marriott Naples, to be accepted by Jeffrey Arman, General Manager, and Michelle Tabby, Director of Sales. Also present is Bethany Sawyer, Vice President of Membership and Investors, the Greater Naples Chamber of Commerce. Congratulations.
Good morning. Yes, ma'am. How do you do, sir?
A little more this way. Can make a public service announcement. It's totally up to you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, next.
Item 5C is a recommendation to accept the annual business plan for Paradise Coast Sports Complex from Sports Facilities Management, LLC. Welcome, gentlemen. Adrian. All right.
Even if it wasn't for me.
Right.
Good morning, everyone. This is Adrian Moses. I have the pleasure of serving as the General Manager of the Paradise Coast Sports Complex on behalf of Sports Facilities Companies. Behind me is my boss, VP of Sports and Entertainment for Sports Facilities and Companies, Jack Adams. We are going to go through the fiscal year review from the last year, which was each month. I've been reporting to the TDC some really positive results, and this is the culmination of that. And then I'll go through the plan that we have for the fiscal year that we're currently in, and give you a heads up of where we're heading on that trajectory too. So, thank you. Am I moving this on, or are you? Okay. All right, so a brief recap for each quarter. We began the fiscal year with a hurricane, like literally with a hurricane. October, we cancelled everything that we had booked. And then we rebooked everything, finding spots for people who got displaced. We were also supporting the recovery effort from the hurricane as well. So we had the DSNAP food collection, food stamp collection. And we also hosted the Gulf Coast Runners 5K last Thanksgiving after it wasn't able to happen in the city of Naples. We also hosted Snowfest for the first time, and then we had a big December with the FBU National Championships. We then transitioned into lacrosse, and then we transitioned into a small-sided soccer tournament, all in the last 2 weeks of the year. So, a really strong performance. December was our largest ever month. More of that to come, and October was actually rated 8th. So keep that number in mind. That was our 8th largest revenue month for the year. So a few bits and pieces. It was obviously a strong start to the fiscal year. We also saw that the amount of business that we were doing with the fact that the complex wasn't fully built out at the time is that we were striving to hit our numbers and exceed our numbers through different revenue sources. So we were spending more and we were buying more stuff rather than renting space that we already had. So it showed that our COGS were on the high side. We also had Snowfest, which we didn't actually budget for within this fiscal year. So that skewed everything. It obviously made our revenue look better, but it also skewed our COGS as well. We kept our expenses in check, and started to show some of those green shoots of what was going to be the end of year results for us in terms of the net income. Q2, January is always a month where we have to try and support the local area in terms of we could fill the place. We just don't have the hotel rooms in this area to support the amount of tourist revenue that we have coming through the area. Also, sports tourism typically needs a lower ADR in terms of the rates that the hotels are charging. And it's great that they're doing so well and being able to have such a high average daily rate. However, that means that we have to adjust the way that we book our complex, and we do a lot of showcase events, which they're high-level events, but they're not very high spectator events. They're participation events, which means that we get 250, 300 high-level college-bound athletes coming through, and we make our money through serving them lunch and dinner through our excellent catering services. So, again, the COGS of that month is higher because we're producing a lot of meals to serve the athletes that come through. February was a fantastic month in the fact that we had the Western Cup and which is our largest soccer tournament, and then the Southwest Florida Shootout, which we learned a bunch of lessons from in the first year. And we had 4 teams, Ohio, Marquette, Virginia, and Michigan play to a sold-out stadium, 4,000 people at the stadium, which again is a little look into the future of what we have planned for the complex on a regular basis. March is a huge month for us. We increased for the Trilogy Lacrosse event, which is a spring training event where we had 12 teams each week, that come through the complex to spend their spring training with us here in Paradise. The Trilogy Lacrosse event is our largest single revenue event. And through the support of the Collier County Parks and Recs Department, we've identified a way with our increased size of our complex as well. Now we have the additional fields, that event will be probably 30 to 40% larger this year with all of those teams already sold out in March. So that's something that we're looking forward to. You can see that it was a strong performance financially. Again, January is a little lower just because we are supporting the local area through the events that we have. But the rebound in February and March is quite incredible. As we head into the back end of the season, we had a strong April. May and June were relatively lower. Our local programming revenue declines a little bit in these months because all of the schools are finishing and all the local teams that practice on our fields on a regular basis, they start to take a summer break. We had a church event on Easter Sunday, which was one of the most inspiring events that I've had at the complex, just because you take a look at the production that they had for a church event, and it was by far and away the best production for any event that we've had so far. And there was over 2,500 people for that event as well. One of my favourite events, I think a couple of the county staff members were there, was our Naples Dealers. They're one of our really positive sponsors of ours, and we appreciate their support. They have a customer appreciation event. So if you bought a vehicle from them in the past 12 months, you got invited to the Kentucky Derby party, which we utilised our 40-foot video screen to live screen the race, and everyone looked fantastic in the clothing and the hats that they were wearing for that. So you can see that we start to tail off into the slower summer months again. A little look forward into what we have planned about how we are what we have put together to try and even the year out with summer programming, and that more to come on that later. Q4, I put in the headline here. It was a mixed bag. July was top heavy because we had the July 4th event, which we learnt about hosting maybe 2 weeks before. So that was a heavy lift and great support from all of the county managers' departments and the EMT, CCSO to make that happen. And many of you were there and saw the scope and the size of the event that we were able to do. And then we went straight from that into Top Gun, which is the second FBU event, large event of the year. One of the threats that we have in our new fiscal year, if I may, is that Top Gun now moves into June. So July is something that we are looking to actively find new events for and provide some kind of dynamic pricings for encouraging people to come in and use it then. It's the dog days. Any local programming that we do have is hit by weather cancellations. We don't have a weather hotline. People know around here that, you know, if it's raining at 5:30, it might be clear at 6 o'clock. So, but we do have a lot of cancellations for weather during that month for our local programming. We finished the year with a food and wine festival. Again, I think Commissioner Saunders, you were there. It was struck by a pretty heavy storm. That didn't stop people from partying that day, which was great to see. But it was a wonderful way to finish the fiscal year, and a good rebound in September after our lowest month in August. So all in all, the foot traffic that we had showed an increase from the previous year. And at the TDC meeting recently, I commented, and I don't have any evidence to back this up, but I find it hard to think there's another venue in Collier County that has the visitation that we have. It is the most visited venue, according to me, whatever that's worth. But I think, if you just look at the fact that we have 1,500 people a day come through local programming, that's how we're serving the local community. And then we have these huge sporting events at the weekend, which can have up to 7,000 people per day in the complex. I don't think there's anywhere else in Collier County that rivals the numbers of foot traffic that we do. What that meant for the year, we crushed our revenue budget. Our revenue budget was just a click under 1.4 million. We went over. We almost got to 2.1 million. And it's this point I remind you all that we did the entire fiscal year with a 5-field complex. We only got access to the additional fields which were built in October, so we were able to drive the sports complex. We were budgeted for 10 fields. We only had 5, and we were still able to strike these numbers, mainly because of really strong food and beverage performance, which again relates to going over our COGS budget, that we had to then find ways to do that. But what it did allow us to do is learn that there's a huge appetite, pun intended, for catering events. We've recently done some huge catering events for some of the largest companies in Collier County. Now, recently we just hosted the J.R. Wood 65th anniversary for 400 people, and Home Depot was on Sunday night, and Treviso Bay was last night. And the Healthcare Networks was on Saturday, so that was 1,000 people there. So it really did. We are finding our feet with that and finding new ways to drive revenue through the complex, which isn't using necessarily using the sports fields. We'd planned for a loss of 169,000. If you go back a year before, we had a loss of 424,000. The year before that, when we weren't managing the complex, this place was in the red to the tune of over 1.3 million. So the fact that in 2 years of management, we've been able to not only strike our budget down, but also get into the black for the first time, based upon the accrual basis of where we account, and what the sports facilities companies is responsible for. We also did that in keeping in line with the other expenses. So we had a budget for landscaping and janitorial, which we manage. In part of our management contract, we're not judged on that other than staying within budget, and we were able to do that. We're still learning this complex. We're still rookies. This is only our second year, but certainly learning from the first year. Going into the second year, we're really starting to show what we can do, and we went from walking, we're jogging, and I think we're going into a point now in fiscal year 24 where we're going to be running. Here's a slide on the foot traffic, which I alluded to earlier. Probably should have come a bit earlier, but you can see that the number of the amount of foot traffic that we have. It'll be very difficult for any other venue in Collier County to match those numbers. Any questions on the last fiscal year? Sorry, you were looking. The results at this point, I'd really like to, at the TDC meeting, I had a lot of the staff members that are responsible for the success here. And I know that a lot of them are going to be watching back at the Paradise Coast Sports Complex now as we're preparing for FBU this coming week. So the team are responsible for these results. They work tirelessly. In this industry, we say weekends are an abstract concept, and none of us have had a weekend off since Labor Day. So we are working hard. We're working hard for the community, and we're working hard to meet our mission. This isn't easy. If it was, everyone would be doing it. But we enjoy the challenge, and it's an honour to manage such a great facility as well. So if anyone has any questions, I'll move on to.
I think we'll ask our questions at the end.
Okay, all right. So as we go into the fiscal year that we're currently in, I think what we're looking to do and the main goal of the business plan is to consolidate and improve efficiencies. We're finding very quickly that the increase from a 5-field complex to a 9-field complex, we're finding it a challenge that we're meeting and overcoming, but it's still a challenge. If you just think about if we rotate from a soccer tournament to a lacrosse tournament, which we got into a rhythm of doing, then you add in another 4 fields that you have to transition, fields that you have to scrub lines from, you have to remove goals from, replace goals with goals from different sports. You know, we're still finding our way with that. We're essentially, again, we're a first-year complex as a 9-field complex. The revenue profile for the events that we have is it's consolidated, and when I mean revenue profile, it's where we feel the events, what return the events are going to have from field rental to hotel revenue to the food and beverage that bring. We're confident that the revenue profile of the events that we have booked in a very robust calendar is going to be very successful for us this year. We continue to improve our contracts, and to give you an example, we reported back in a little test. Let's see if Commissioner McDaniel was listening. What number was October in last year's fiscal year in terms of our?
In terms of our contracts?
No, in terms of the revenue goal, the revenue performance of the year, 1 to 12. What was?
Gross was.
What number was it in the? Anyone?
130.
It was 8. So it was our eighth highest revenue month. October 2024 would have rated 4th in last year's fiscal year. So it was our 4th highest ever revenue month. It obviously helps not to have a hurricane. I predict that November will be our number 1 revenue month of all time, and then I think we're going to exceed that this month as well, with the additional events that we have going on. So we're able to effectively project where we're going to be based upon the revenue profiles, as I said. With the additional events that we have going on at the weekend, one of our goals is to provide the facility for local programming, and we're going around the groups that rent for us regularly, and we're pleased to tell them that we're freezing their rates for the next fiscal year. So the additional fields that we have means that we can take on more clients and more rental time. And it means that our existing rental groups will not see a rental rate increase into the new year. We still have some exciting projects in the sales funnel, and filling out that summer months in 2024 is going to be a challenge. It's a challenge because all of the people that come and visit us in the winter months, they can play on their own fields in their own states during those summer months. So it's going to be we're going to benefit from the Great Wolf Lodge opening, but we haven't planned on that. We've kind of looked to the future, but that's more of a fiscal year 24-25 for that. You can see that from our fiscal year, that the approved budget, we increased our revenue. 22-23 was hard work getting that revenue. We scrapped for every cent there. And we feel that it's not sustainable, and what we want to do is become more efficient with our operations. So we're showing an increase in revenue, a relatively large increase in expenses, but that's more along the lines of reassigning what we were defining as COGS in the last fiscal year. So we had a lot of part-time staff under COGS, and those that are operational staff that aren't necessarily involved in the sales process. So we did that, but we're showing a net performance at the end of the year of a modest loss for the complex, and again, that's basically rewriting the ship after a fairly remarkable year that we had in the last fiscal year. So I've spoken through most of these points already, and I'm getting bored of the sound of my own voice, so it would be nice to hear somebody else's. So if you have questions, Jack and myself are happy to answer them either on the previous fiscal year or in the current budget.
Okay, I've got a few questions, Adrian. So obviously the numbers are going in the right direction. So like that, you don't have to be an accountant to know that. Just some basic questions. Where are we on the new signage? You know, when you drive by Collier Boulevard, the biggest sign you see is City Gate. So when we're telling everybody to go to Paradise Coast Sports Complex, you know, it's a little miniature thing on the bottom. And if you've never been there, we have people that blow by it. But I know there's something in the works. So what's the latest? The TDC might know because they've had it, but I don't know that we know. I just heard better, more visible signage was on the way. What's the latest?
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Dan Rodriguez, your Deputy County Manager. That's currently with our Capital Projects team and Facilities Management. So as you know, recently we had a settlement agreement with the contractor that built the park for us. And now that project, in particular the signage at I-51, is being scoped, and then that'll go out to bid and will be built.
What do we think our timeline is? I mean, we're going to see new signage next year?
I don't want to commit Ed Finn's team, but based on the bidding, probably 6 months to 9 months.
I mean, we really gotta try to accelerate that because, you know, you're advertising all these new events and the sports complex is exploding, and yeah, people are finding it. You know, 4th of July brought a lot of new people there for the very first time, but it's still the smallest sign out there is Paradise Coast, and the biggest sign out there is City Gate, which we never really advertised for anything. So it's more of a business sign. But you know, I don't know how the other commissioners feel, but you know, 9 months to get a sign. I realize everything moves slow at the government level, and if we were billionaires, we would just buy it and install it. Not literally. I mean, I know we need permits and things, but. Anyway, keep us updated on that. We don't have to sit there and hash it out. That was one question. The one thing I noticed, so I met, and I think maybe we all did with that the soccer club. That's looks like it's coming, and I know that's another presentation. But one of the things I noticed by your presentation is the slowest months we have is when they are going to be out there. So I was really encouraged by that because when I spoke with them, I was like, "When's your season?" And it's really our off season, and that's when the sports complex isn't, you know, when it has a bunch of losses. So that's a good fit in there to sort of control the bleeding, you know, on the losses and hopefully make some money during that off season if they become a stable partner, you know, for us. And I know more to follow on that. And then, you know, you made the statement about events that come and people are really looking for sort of discounted rooms, and there's only so many of them. You know, if somebody's coming for a big football event or it's a bunch of high schoolers or whatnot, you know, there's only so much to go around and the prices of rooms are expensive. Having said that, some of the most expensive rooms are going to be right next door at the Great Wolf Lodge. So to your statement, you said we see a real benefit with the Great Wolf Lodge. In your conversations with them, where's the benefit? It's not going to be for those high school kids unless they're, you know, parents and grandparents, you know, grab a big suite or anything. And I mean this in a positive way. Yep. What are the things that you've, had conversations with them that will be of a benefit? What do you foresee?
The first thing is the logistical plan with Great Wolf Lodge of what we've discussed. We've immediately put on the table, on the calendar, these are our big events, but also at the same time asked the question, when do you need help filling your hotel? So we've been able to figure out from our calendar where we can assist them, and the groups that are bringing events to us are already in negotiation with Great Wolf to have a suitable number of rooms there. The other thing that you need to kind of remember about Great Wolf Lodge is it's a youth designated hotel. It's designed towards youth, so the rooms are like dorm rooms. Some of the rooms will hold up to 8 people. So it really helps in the sports where you can put a number of individuals in the same room in their own beds rather than in a regular hotel. Where
Foresee that if there's sort of a little bit of a slower time for them, but you have a big event that you all are come to a partnership where they're going to discount some rooms, or like you said, block some rooms for your event, and you guys are going to work together if they're not overbooked and they have a lull period, and you have something that's coming. Obviously, you guys will get together.
100%, and we're also looking at ways to drive new kinds of business. My experience is with sports camps, and I see that during the summer there's a great way for us to manage our own sports camps and give parents the opportunity to maybe go shopping or go to the beach by themselves and leave their kids with us in the morning, and then come back and utilise the water park there. But those discussions are in place with Great Wolf Lodge, and they have been for months, and we're enjoying a really good relationship with them so far.
Okay, Commissioner Hall.
Thanks, Adrian. You got the new budget coming, and you've got your revenue that kind of matched last year, but your expenses were planned to be a lot higher. I didn't know if there was something special you thought that was coming, or if you're kind of banking on getting some additional revenue to cover that, or I was just kind of curious as to why the plans were for higher expenses like that.
Yeah, we're finding that I spoke about the additional size of the complex and how much more effort that takes. Let's say the transition for a 5-field complex is a 4-person job. Now it becomes an 8-person job to do it in the same amount of time, because we don't have the beauty of, with our schedule, to take 2 weeks off in between an event to take twice as much to do the time of work. So we still only have 4 days to transition to the next event, and we've got twice as many fields to transition. So there is more expenses in place there to give the staff some respite for that and to assist there. But essentially, it's a heavier lift, so there's more labour. And 90% of the work that we do is labour. So,
Thank you.
I don't see anybody else. What up? Anybody else got any questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. See you in a few.
Do we need a motion to accept their?
Just a motion to accept the presentation.
Okay, a motion to accept.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion from Commissioner McDaniel, second by Commissioner Hall. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
The Commissioners, before we start our 10 o'clock time certain, I think we can take item 6A. This is the public petition. Public petition by Susan Zender on an addendum to the management agreement for the Pelican Bay Community Park Pickleball Project.
Good morning. As County Manager said, my name is Susan Zender. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you today on behalf of the public pickleball players regarding an addendum to the management agreement for the Pelican Bay Community Park Pickleball Project. As the screen says, the proposed addendum says members of the public shall have access to 50% of the pickleball courts during the same days and hours as members of the foundation. Commissioner Hall emailed me over the weekend to say that the county and the Pelican Bay Foundation have agreed to support this addendum. This is great news. In light of this support, I will skip my planned presentation and instead use this opportunity to thank all of you for your support for the public pickleball players and for this addendum. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I believe we have our 10 o'clock folks here if we want to go ahead and get them up here and get the presentation loaded and get started. Item 10A, to be heard at 10 a.m. time certain, is a presentation on the Golden Gate Golf Course.
Can I just ask something? Why would we skip over, not skipping over, but should we have public comment first if there's people that are in the audience here waiting, or I'm just throwing out there. How long do we think that the 10 o'clock presentation is going to be?
It's a brief presentation,
Okay.
and whatever comment you have. We do have several folks signed up to speak on public comment.
How many we got, Troy, for public comment so far? 5. Okay, we'll let those stack up a little bit. We'll go to this.
Yes,
Go ahead, Commissioner Saunders, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me just give this kind of a brief introduction, and the whole team is in the audience, so I'll let them introduce each other, or the team when they get up to the podium. I want to thank the board, first of all. We had an issue dealing with this Golden Gate Golf Course several months ago, And the commission voted to continue with this project to keep moving forward. We had, at that point in time, about $6 million in the fund that we had set aside for the golf course development. Initially, that was $7 million, but we've spent about $1 million of that, so that fund is still there. I want to spend just a minute talking about what we're trying to accomplish today. And I want to read a few paragraphs here with your indulgence. In the executive summary that's been distributed is information provided by Reinhold Schmieding and Cindy Darlin, which constitutes an unsolicited proposal for the redevelopment of the Golden Gate Golf Course. I have discussed this project with Mr. Schmieding and Ms. Darlin, and it appears to address the myriad of issues that must be considered by the County Commission. If the decision of the Commission is to move forward with this, the County Attorney will have to advise staff how to proceed with the invitation to negotiate to determine if other development groups will have an interest in submitting a response to an invitation to negotiate. My goal is to move as quickly as legally permissible to negotiate the terms of a long-term lease with this group or with another qualified group as determined by the County Commission. In the executive summary, there's a brief outline of the proposal, and I want to, for the record, read a couple of those paragraphs. So I think this addresses the needs of the community and is sort of the basis for an invitation to negotiate that Mr. Klatskow will work on with our staff to facilitate. So the presentation proposal for the former Golden Gate Golf Course is as follows: to design, build, and operate a 9-hole public golf course, driving range, short game area, and clubhouse with a restaurant open to the public, along with a first tee learning center. Fees associated for playing golf will be discounted to Collier County residents and youth with proper ID. A concession fee back to the county is to be negotiated. Now, my understanding is that part of the proposal is for a 40% reduction in greens fees for county residents, and we'll have to determine how that type of ID is determined. As part of this, I'm going to ask that the $6 million that's still contained in our budget be appropriated for this project to continue that. My understanding is, and we'll hear more details, but my understanding is that the proposers are looking to invest somewhere north of $22 to $23 million in addition to that to make this project a really world-class facility for the golfers in the area and for the youth of Collier County to participate in the first tee learning experience. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm very excited about this. This has been a long time coming. I think this type of proposal addresses everything that is needed for this course, and I'd like at this time to turn it over to our staff to begin the presentation, or turn it over to the proposers with their presentation. I see that the architect is available as well, which I think is going to be doing part of the presentation, but I'll turn it over to you guys.
Yes, I believe we're going to have Mr. Bumpus begin the presentation, so we'll turn it over to him. Welcome.
Commissioners, staff, and citizens of Collier County, good morning. My name is David Bumpus. I am the Vice President of Operations with Arthrex, and I'm also a citizen and 20-plus year resident of Collier County. I've had the pleasure many times to speak and present to the board, typically about projects associated with or related to Arthrex's exceptional growth as a leader here in Collier County. Today, though, I'm very excited to talk about a project that's near and dear to all of our hearts. Commissioner Saunders did an excellent job of outlining and in essence doing my job here for me. I appreciate that, sir. But I will highlight a few things that I think are also very important about this. It all starts with the opportunity, and it starts with the need. The opportunity obviously being because Big Shot's project fell apart. They walked away from the program. There was money allocated, which is hopefully still allocated. More importantly, what is the need? Well, you know, most people in Collier County would argue that we actually live in a sea of golf courses. And quite frankly, if you were to look at an aerial map, I think most people could make that case. But I would turn that around and say, I believe it's more of a desert. It's a desert of affordable, accessible courses for the public. And while there are nearly 90 golf courses in this county, very few of them are truly accessible. And of those that are generally associated with some type of resort, meaning the fees are in the hundreds and hundreds of dollars each year, simply out of touch for most Collier County citizens to play golf and have a practice facility. So to reiterate some of Commissioner Saunders' points, our intent would be to, first of all, create a non-profit entity that would raise the money and then provide for both the design, construction, and operation of not only a 9-hole golf course, but a Peter Jacobson designed 9-hole golf course. We're talking world-class facility here. In addition to that, again, practice facilities, something that is desperately needed in Collier County. To my knowledge, there's only one driving range open to the public on 951 toward Marco Island. This would provide short range and putting opportunities. It would provide a lighted driving range open into the evening for citizens of the county. It also would provide a restaurant at a minimum of 150 seats in an area of the county that is really underserved, quite frankly, for restaurants of this type. And then finally, it would provide space, leased space, to the First Tee so that they could actually build and maintain their headquarters as well as a first-class training center for the children of Collier County. So I'm going to skip ahead and just touch on some of what I consider to be the major benefits of this project. First of all, it starts with you, the county. You know, the county has made a commitment to the citizens of Collier County as well as the citizens of Golden Gate to keep this golf course intact and to create an operational course over time. And we certainly are hoping to support that opportunity. Serving the residents, visitors, veterans of the new VA center that will be located adjacent to this facility. And then again, finally, the children. You know, there are currently over 1,000 children within the First Tee program in Collier County. This is an incredible opportunity for us. This is not just a program about golf, but it's a program about teaching life skills to children. My 2 children were fortunate enough to attend that program when they were younger, and I firsthand have seen the benefits associated with that. So this really is a golden opportunity for us. And as the commissioner pointed out, the incentives will be built into discounted greens fees at various times of the year and different sliding scales to make this feasible. A return on the actual investment after a 3-year period to the county as well. And ultimately, at the end of whatever the lease term may be, all of this would be then in some form turned back over to Collier County. So we're very excited about this opportunity. And those of you that know us, and when I say us, I'm talking about Arthrex, but more importantly, we are putting together an incredible team as part of this nonprofit organization to make sure that this is actually something we can all be incredibly proud of. And when I talk about our team, we have MHK Architecture, who will be presenting next. DeAngelis Diamond Construction Company has signed on to participate with us as well. Peter Jacobson and Jacobson Hardy Development for the golf course design and development. Folks, this will be first class. This will be done right. It will be something that all of you can be proud of and we can all truly invest in. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Matthew from MHK.
Make sure this works here. Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Matthew Craig with MHK Architecture and Planning. I'm the founder of MHK. We have 10 offices throughout the United States, from Southwest Florida through Aspen, Colorado. Naples is our headquarters, and I've been a member of this community for the past 25 years as an architect. I'm especially excited to work on this project with Arthrex and the First Tee because golf is, I was one of those kids growing up at the golf course. In fact, I worked at a golf course. I served a lot of hot dogs and cleaned a lot of clubs as a kid. But the big thing is that golf, I think I owe a lot to golf. Golf teaches us such things as honesty, integrity, etiquette, compassion, and social skills. These are all skills that we use today on a daily basis. The first tee who's involved in this project teaches these skills to these children, gives them access to golf, and I think that's of utmost importance to our community. The project site sits upon approximately 115 acres. The main entrance off of Collier Boulevard will sit between the county's affordable housing property to the south and the Veterans Retirement Project to the north. The overall program will include a state-of-the-art 9-hole public golf course designed by Peter Jacobson. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a legend sitting right here who's also a great member of our community. There's also going to be a state-of-the-art practice facility. It's something that's really needed in this community. There's really no great place to practice with all these private clubs. There's going to be approximately 18,000 square feet of facilities. That'll include public golf amenities, a dynamic public restaurant, and a learning academy for the first tee of Collier County. I'm not going to go into the golf course layout. Peter Jacobson's company is going to do a fantastic job on that, but it's basically a 9-hole state-of-the-art course with a internal loop, first hole, 9th tee. The buildings are arranged in a campus-style approach, which are situated between the practice facility and the 9th green. I'm going to just kind of animate this quickly for you to kind of show you some high-level points. The parking area shown in yellow stems from a vehicular entrance off of Collier Boulevard. Because of the children involved in the First Tee program, I clearly defined entrance and drop-off area has been designed with protection from the other vehicular traffic, place to drop off the kids, basically. The campus-style buildings are situated to have public golf activities orientated towards the First Tee and the 9th green, while the First Tee Academy Learning Center is on the opposite and near the practice end facility. A dynamic 3-sided restaurant sits at the axis of the main entrance. The structure will have 3 sides of glass to patrons, so patrons can easily view the practice area as well as the 9th green while enjoying a meal. The practice area will include approximately 315-yard driving range, kind of outlined in yellow. The main hitting bays are situated along the south side of the facility, abutting covered hitting bays along with specialized hitting bays for children adjacent to the restaurant. The north side of the practice facility will include hitting bays for the veterans' use. This is adjacent to the veterans' property. That's outlined in the magenta oval there. Adjacently east in the green circle is a short game practice area, which will include a dynamic putting course and chipping areas. An elaborate front porch system has been provided for connectivity, but also for an area for parents to watch their children develop their skills while sitting in the shade. The north side of the practice facility, I'm going to briefly touch on the program components of the building. The area shown in red here includes loading, solid waste, golf cart storage building, golf cart washing area with privacy wall, golf ball washing station. All of these conveniently located near the first tee and the 9th green staging areas. The next structure here is the Pro Shop facility, which will have offices for Golf Pro and Director of Golf. There'll be a retail area for merchandise and equipment. There's a retail storage and restrooms for staff. The building also includes bag storage areas. The next building is a dynamic glass restaurant that's at the 45-degree angle, which gives us views both of the 9th green and the lake and the hitting bays of the practice facility on the opposite side. The next building includes the main restrooms and small locker room areas. It also has golf ball vending machines for practice areas, as well as a smaller concession area for somebody that wants to just go hit a bucket of balls and have a hot dog and a Coke after work. The centralized building is the First Tee Academy building. This building will include an indoor putting facility, covered hitting bays orientated towards the practice facility, indoor classrooms, virtual golf simulations. The front of this building, between the building and the parking area, includes a public learning yard. This open yard area will include bleacher-like steps off the back of the building and is enclosed by landscaping. This area will be a perfect spot for a lecture on golf etiquette by Mr. Jacobson, or an area for a public reception party. The concepts on the walls of this building will be to make the walls mobile, such as glass garage doors that will open the building up to the exterior on both sides. And this will be a dynamic area for public events, et cetera. The last building here includes the first tee offices. This will include approximately 5 offices, conference room, reception, and golf cart storage for them. Though we're in the early process of creating a series of 3D images for the project, we created a few of these just to kind of show you the massing and the orientation of the buildings and the quality of what this is going to be. There's going to be very simple gable type structures connected by exterior walkways. This is a view basically hovering over the 9th green, kind of looking back at the facility. You can see the restaurant stemming out to the left side of the page. This is a view from the driving range area looking back, where the 9th tee is at the top of the page. And another view kind of hovering over the parking lot. With that, I'm going to leave this open for any questions or concerns you may have, and we appreciate your thoughts.
Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Matt. Hi, David. Good morning. Good job.
Good morning. Thank you. And Commissioners, if I may, I'd like to shed a little bit of clarity also on the budgetary numbers that Commissioner Saunders had mentioned earlier. So through our homework and assessments that we've done, obviously, again, the partnership being with the county, providing us a long-term lease for the property, and the monies donated or contributed that were previously set aside for this project, we believe that the nonprofit is looking at somewhere around $15 or so million in the initial phase to bring everything online. And then, of course, the first tee would step in and take care of their construction and their operational setup for their facilities as well. So when Commissioner Saunders talks about that larger number, that's really when you consolidate everything together. I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Yeah, and that's what I intended when I said that, because both of those contributions are part of the overall plan that you've submitted. So
Yes, sir. Correct.
Hang on
Just
just-
one, with regard, forgive me.
Hang on just a second. I just have a couple of questions. As a golfer, what about, is it going to be a par 36, 9 holes? So are we going to have a par 5 or 2 in there, or, so it's going to be a real deal?
Yes, it'll be a real deal.
Good. Is the practice facility going to be lighted?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Excellent. And then the restaurant, I love the fact that it's going to go where it's going, but please not Italian.
Commissioner Hall, you're dismissed.
You know, when we all die and go to heaven, you can find me in the Mexican food department. No, and there's going to be several sets of teas for like my dad and stuff like that. That's excellent. Good, thanks.
Commissioner McDaniel.
Go ahead, let it, come on up. I have a question anyway. Come on up, sir.
What our intent is with the design is to do multiple tees for different levels of players. And if there is room, we will put par 3 tees forward. So for good players, they'll be able to play maximum length of 450 on a hole. And then for kids playing with their dads and parents and learning the game, we will put tees, not in the fairway, but off to the side, 100, 150 yards. So kids can learn the game that way, and it would be also beneficial for the first tee as well. So we will have multiple sets of tees for multiple opportunities for different lengths on the course, on those 9 holes.
Now I'm ready.
Sir, that's
Don't go away,
that's
Mr.
great personal opinion, but can I ask you, sir? So that's great personal opinion, but can I ask you, what are your qualifications of knowing the golf game? So I don't know if you're intimately involved in this project at all. But
Trust me, those charges will be dropped before construction starts.
This isn't the blind leading the blind. You know a little bit about what you're doing, I assume. Yeah.
Yes, one of the things we've done with my firm, Jacobson Hardy, we've designed 15, 20 courses around the country. And I'm proud to say we brought everyone in under budget, number one. Number two, for the opportunity to work with the first tee and to work with Arthrex is a huge bonus. Because I started playing the game when I was 10 years old, started as a caddy. and then I've been in the game ever since. And I find it to be one of the most important mentorships in society. The first tee was started 25, 30 years ago by President Bush, 41. And it was meant as a developmental opportunity for children in golf. And it's proven to be one of the most successful, if not the most successful, youth development program in the country. So golf is a very important aspect of what we do. As David said, it teaches the responsibility, the integrity, the sportsmanship, the honesty that we all need that is sorely lacking in society today. So I'm bullish on this opportunity for the county, and I apologize, I'm a Lee County resident, but spend a lot of money here in Collier County.
Okay. I do have a question for you, Mr. Jacobson, if the chair will.
Go ahead, sir.
Are we good? I happened to see you on TV a couple of months ago, speaking of practice. Have you been working on that little thing you got going on at the top of your backswing?
Yes, I'm getting the ball up in the air most of the time now, thanks to the help from Cindy Darlin with the first tee. My ball is mostly airborne these days.
Outstanding.
Even at 70 years old, I can still get it in the air.
Outstanding. Thank you very much. I do have a question that I want to ask, but I also want to say out loud that I'm really happy with this plan. I'm really happy with the 9-hole golf course. I'm really happy with the layout. I'm really happy with the partnerships that have been brought together. This is a pleasure for me to support with regard to the parties that are involved with this. So I want to thank you all in advance, because I know how hard, especially Cindy, I know how hard you folks have been working on this. And I don't know, David, if the question is for you, on a particular basis, there's two entities. We have First Tee, and then we have the golf course operation. Is there sufficient segregation with property ownership to protect those independent operations there, so that God forbid, in the event of a discourse, if you will, the individuality can be protected?
Certainly. There's a lot of details that need to be worked out, but in the early stages, it looks mostly like the nonprofit will be in complete control, if you will, providing then a lease to the First Tee and setting up a form of an HOA to ensure that everything is run appropriately, reserves are set aside, operating expenses are taken care of, and so forth, because it is very much of a campus-type environment.
I saw that with the layout. I love it. I love what's going on. I think this has got nothing but potential for something amazing for our community.
Thank you.
What's the time frame to tee off?
1 o'clock if you want to come with me.
I was just going to add a couple things. Obviously, this is headed in a great direction, and there might be some people that hear the 9-hole course announcement, and we had this in some previous meetings. I'm a golfer. I'm not a Peter Jacobson by any stretch of the imagination. I'd like to talk to you after this about a couple of things. But the reality is, I played a course in Colorado that I think was like a 15-hole course, and then you went back to a couple of holes, and the tee was in a different spot, and it was just because they didn't have the acreage, and I felt like I played 18 holes. I mean, so, folks that say, oh, it's not an 18-hole, we're shortchanging it. I mean, I'd rather have a 9-hole that's dynamic and fits, and we can do anything, but we can't always do everything, so we have to be dynamic. But I think I firmly believe it's headed in a really strong direction. And with the partnership between Arthrex, really want to thank you all for being intimately involved in this. Obviously, Mr. Jacobson and MHK, I mean, if you're familiar with their work all over Collier County, it's all first class. So this isn't just some fly-by-night thing that we're throwing together. And then, when you have Cindy as the CEO and the champion of the whole thing, pulling it all together, I think all of us here are huge supporters of it, and we want to see it, go into this area of our community and really just bring it to a level that has been needed for a long time. So it's going to be a really successful project. I love the under budget, and one of the things I always say from my time back in the military: on time or early, and under budget, and then you've had a successful construction project. But definitely headed in a great direction, and to see so many professionals involved, I got a really great feeling about it. So, and I know you got. I think I speak for all of us up here when you have complete full support of the county. We can't wait to add this to our footprint here in Collier County. And Mr. Jacobson, on the way to Lee County, you will be getting a speeding ticket. Okay. Commissioner Saunders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to kind of start out, and we got some public comment. I just want to say how delighted I am that Commissioner McDaniel is happy with this project now. So, thank you, Commissioner. Looking for a 5-0 vote today. When we were, this is just a thing about Peter Jacobson. You recall about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had a fairly major rainstorm, fairly high winds, and Mr. Jacobson and some folks from Arthrex and some county folks and myself walked the entire course, most of the time in a driving rain. And it was interesting because Mr. Jacobson took off, and we had a hard time keeping up with you. And we offered him an umbrella, and he said, no, I'm used to the rain, and spent about 3 hours walking there. Then I know you walked the course a second time, spent all day out there. And I mention that because this is a really hands-on approach to designing this course. And I was impressed with your knowledge, obviously, but your dedication to making sure that this is going to be a first-class course. I know there's been some question about how long the holes will be, and I remember you saying, well, this will be a perfect par 5. It goes on forever. And so I just want to thank you for making that really extra effort to make sure that this is going to be a special place. And, of course, obviously, with Arthrex and the team that's together, this will be something that the community will be very proud of. And I know we have a lot of public comment. I would urge, just in terms of public comment, there's going to be, I believe, a 5-0 vote to move forward with this. I'm going to make a motion at the appropriate time. So we've got a long day today. So if you're supportive, it'd be nice to say that. If you're not supportive, then just sit there quietly. We wouldn't want to hear from you. But, Mr. Chairman, I think that...
Wow.
Mr. Chairman, I think the public comment will probably go fairly quickly.
How many have Troy?
He's right. I have one registered speaker who's been seated 3 additional minutes.
Okay.
CC Zinti. And is Louis Zinti here? Yes, okay. So Ms. Zinti will have 6 minutes.
For the record, CC Zenti, 4226 27th Court Southwest. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Very happy to be here. That was an excellent presentation. We're very excited. Just a couple things. First of all, for Mr. Vice President and Mr. Architect. Many in this audience here, as am I, live at Par 1 community, and our property is adjacent to the Golden Gate Golf Course. Technically, we share lot lines. We are here this morning to thank you and many of your predecessors who have worked to preserve this parcel since 2008. Our commitment reached far beyond any selfish reasons for having saving the Golden Gate Golf Course property. Rather, we believed then, and we believe today, this parcel could be something special, and it looks like it's going to be. We wanted to bring it to Golden Gate City, something that would be better than the 720 condos that were originally proposed by the previous owners. Our commitment was so strong, we spent over $100,000 on legal fees to show how we wanted to preserve green space, wildlife, foliage, as well as a municipal golf course. Par 1 community has 516 condos, which translates to 720 to 750 people in our community. We are excited watching how these projects are coming together on the parcel. As you know, a short time ago, a groundbreaking ceremony was held for the workforce housing, which we are very excited about having. Today, we are here to address the soon new golf course. Mr. Jacobson. Even more exciting news is that First Tee will be on the property making available their facility and training programs for all the youth of Collier County. Having First Tee in Golden Gate is a wonderful opportunity for children of working parents in Golden Gate to ride their bikes or walk to the golf course. This past summer during camp, at Golden Gate Community Center, First Tee introduced their programs to the youth there, and they loved it. Loved hitting the golf balls and loved hearing about the program. This proposal before you today will include all that they have talked about, and we are here to encourage you to bring this project forward. The golf course was closed in 2019. During the last 4 years, 4 long years, our community has been invaded by a lot of people, especially all-terrain vehicles buzzing our homes. Time does not permit 4 years of what has occurred. Suffice it today, say it has been frustrating us. I would also like to say we are most anxious for a date, and the reason for that is we have several boards of directors. We have 5 boards of directors and an HOA, and have gotten waivers for normal maintenance. We are due, sometimes overdue, on our buildings for power washing buildings, roofs, painting, etc. This has become a great inconvenience and a concern. We are curious about what this golf course will look like. We have a better idea today, and we are happy to know, and can't wait to find out where hole number 1 is and hole number 9 is. With that said, we want to thank all the Collier County staff for their help over the last many, many decades. They have been very patient, kind, and informative. From the 311 staff, clerk of court and her staff, administrative, your executive assistants and your predecessors' executive assistants. And in memoriam, I want to remember Mr. David Likens, executive, 3rd District of Commissioner Bert Saunders. Also, the economic development with Mr. Jeff Willig. Our last suggestion, since we Par 1 is adjacent to the golf course, think seriously about this. We have 720 to 750 golfers and people that love to go to restaurants. How about a cart path from our community to their facilities? We are more than ready to golf, go to the driving range, go to the restaurant, and utilize what this renovation has to offer. Please consider this proposal for Golden Gate City, for the youth to have a First Tee experience and to bring affordable golf for the residents of Collier County. Thank you, Mr. McDaniel, to bring affordable golf, and we need this. Thank you so much.
Before Commissioner Saunders wraps it up, there's a lot of people in here bragging that they work for Arthrex, and that's great. But Mr. Arthrex is here, Mr. Reinhold Schmieding, and Arthrex is just such a great contributor to our community, an incredible employer, very philanthropic. You know, if you've ever met this gentleman, he's never waving his hand, bragging about what he does. He's sitting all the way in the back row, and you know, he's probably surrounded by bodyguards or something. But sir, I just wanted to recognize you on behalf of all the commissioners here in the county for what you do for this entire county. And I've said this before, when you could have put your business anywhere in the country and they would have dropped rose petals at your feet, and you decided to come to Naples, which costs you probably a little bit more money, but this is home to you, and you have really put your money where your mouth is in so many ways, and in ways that the community doesn't even know, the checks that you've written and the things that you've done as a community supporter. And so we thank you for that and for being involved in this project and making it a success. Thank you, sir.
Right here in the heart of District 2.
Soon to be moved to District 1. I gave him a little bit of a tax break. Arthrex will now be at home. Commissioner Saunders, sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Just to comment on the cart path, when we were walking the course back in the rainstorm, I mentioned to Peter Jacobson that the folks at the PARs wanted a cart path connecting them to the clubhouse, and the indication was that would not be a problem, that there's most of the cart path is already there. So hopefully that'll still become a reality. I also will take just a second to thank Mr. Schmeeding for his leadership on this. Without his vision, this would not be a reality. And of course, Cindy Darlin and her team have been incredibly great to work with. So I'm just really pleased with the way this has turned out. I need to make a motion, and Mr. County Attorney, I want to make sure that when I finish the motion, that we don't have to have a whole lot of different hearings in front of this board, that we come back with a response to an invitation to negotiate, and we move forward as quickly as possible. So the motion that I'm going to make is to direct staff and the county attorney working with staff to initiate an invitation to negotiate. We have to do that in order to comply with Florida law and our own county ordinances. To do an invitation to negotiate along the lines of what was outlined in the proposal that's been submitted to us, the unsolicited proposal, that staff be directed to issue that intent to negotiate very quickly. I would think within 3 weeks to 4 weeks would be a sufficient time, even with the holidays, to prepare that invitation to negotiate. I know this is a lengthy motion, but bear with me. And that staff have 30 to 45 days to complete that invitation to negotiate, come back with the ranked firms so that we can make a decision to move forward. And I'd like to have that decision before this board certainly by the middle of February. So that gives you staff a very short time frame. But I don't believe there are going to be any groups out there that are going to want to bid on this type of a project based on the terms that have been presented to us. So I think it's going to be a fairly quick process, but we need to get this course under construction during the growing season, during the spring. So that's the reason for that motion to move this along as quickly as possible and have staff have all the direction they need to accomplish that goal. So, Mr. Chairman, that's the motion.
Any concerns, County Attorney?
No, we appreciate how important this project is to the community, and it will be expedited.
Okay. So I have a motion from Commissioner Saunders for an invitation to negotiate, and then a very long, lengthy thing. Commissioner McDaniel, would you like to second that motion?
Be honored to.
Okay, see how I did that? Cindy, did you see that? Did you see how I had to do that? It's my last day as chairman. So we have a motion from Commissioner Saunders and a second from Commissioner McDaniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passage unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, we had a bet going as to whether we'd get 5 votes or not, so I'm not sure. I think I may have lost on that bet.
Somebody owes me some money.
Okay, thank you all for the presentation, and a lot of work ahead of us, and we'll have the full support of the county behind it. It'll be a great teamwork project. County Manager.
Commissioners, would you like to take our court reporter break, then come back for public comment, and then we'll go to our 11 o'clock?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. So, and we got a lot going on, so let's just take a quick break. Let's come back here at 10:45.
Thank you. Chair, you have a live mic.
Okay, if you're involved in what's next, please take your seats. If you're not, we ask you to exit quietly, and we still got a lot of work to do.
What's next? What's next?
Okay, we're going to go to public comment?
Yep. Just before we go to our 11 o'clock time certain, we're going to go ahead and take our public comment. Item 7. Troy?
Sorry about the curveball there. Your first public speaker will be Robert Thurston. He will be followed by Iwo Front.
Good morning. Hello, my name is Robert Thurston. Today marks my 6th appearance before the Collier County Board of Commissioners on Collier TV. I'm back today to discuss in greater depth the deep state here in Naples, Florida, and something called the Targeted Individual Program. The Targeted Individual Program is a U.S.-led torture program that grossly violates often law-abiding Americans' constitutional rights. A U.S. shadow government known as the Deep State carries out the Targeted Individual Program with virtually no oversight or accountability. The U.S. government dishonestly denies the existence of the Targeted Individual Program. I hope the board and the people watching this get some benefit from my research and experiences. I am here today to try to answer an important question for some people these days. That is, how can you protect yourself from dishonest people in government or the deep state who band together for the purpose of defrauding your average everyday citizen who, under close scrutiny, is committing no crimes? Coming here to speak to you all, by the way, was not my first choice. I had to put a face on this issue if I hope to get any help. I think I'm a victim of one of the worst civil rights abuse cases in modern American history because of the severity of what happened as well as the duration. I'm here to try to reclaim my life. I've broken a pretty major news story here in Naples, Florida about the Targeted Individual Program. This is a story of global importance. Where are the local reporters? Where is Daniel Glom? Where is Tomas Rodriguez of the Naples Daily News? I explained what happened to me to them. These deep state programs needlessly harm U.S. citizens. Why aren't you covering this story? The people of Naples deserve to know what is going on here. Then there is Sheriff Kevin Rambosk, still trying to wriggle out from under the truth about his certain involvement in the Targeted Individual Program. I emailed Kevin Rambosk about the Targeted Individual Program for the first time 4.5 years ago in April of 2019. The 120-page documents I currently have online for people to read were only about 25 pages long then, and that's what I sent Sheriff Rambosk. Now, it's important to remember there are other people involved, but in 2019 I was thinking, wow, finally someone can help me with the Targeted Individual Program. I'll write Sheriff Kevin Rambosk to ask for help. Should have been an option any law-abiding American citizen could turn to. Should have been a good idea, right? Wrong. Asking Rambosk for help was like a mouse asking a cat for help. I imagined a scenario where Sheriff Kevin Rambosk would help. What's that you say, Mr. Thurston? You know about a secret torture program that harms American citizens here and that denies them due process of law from the start? I am on it, and I promise you we'll get to the bottom of this, Rambosk would say, I thought. It never occurred to me that Rambosk was actually instead involved in coordinating and carrying out the illegal Targeted Individual Program here in Collier County. I've emailed Rambosk maybe 10 times since 2019, initially asking for his help and later complaining about his role in the Targeted Individual Program. Rambosk never replied even once, not even once. So last, I want to give again the link that tells the story of the people involved here locally in my illegal targeting at targetedindividual4.wordpress.com. Again, that's targetedindividual4.wordpress.com. Also this week, I reached out to Florida Senators Joe Gruters, Jay Trumbull, Kathleen Pasadomo, Bobby Powell, and Darrell Russo to ask for help in sponsoring Collier's Law, which would criminalize participation in the Targeted Individual Program. May I have 30 more seconds, please?
Just wrap it up, sir.
Yes, okay. Kevin Rambosk, you took an oath to protect the people of the Naples community. Once you became sheriff and found that torture at the behest of the U.S. government was part of your job description, you should have immediately resigned and had a press conference and told the people here. You did not, instead greedily just looking out for yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Your next speaker is Iwa Front. She'll be followed by Ray Ann Burton. Iwa, I hope I'm saying your name correctly.
Stand by. It's a little out of order, but Commissioner Hall does have a question for
Mr.
Mr.
Thurston,
Thurston.
you know, you've been here 4, 5, 6 times. What is the purpose of coming before the commission? You know, what do you want?
I would like I'm trying to get a law sponsored, Collier's Law, so that the targeted individual program would be illegal. I want to help other people that are going through this not to have to go through this. It's ridiculous. It's an abomination. And the more you shed light on it, the better the situation seems to get.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, do you want to use this as a public platform to toot your horn on the issue, or do you want us to take some kind of action?
Well, already the Board of County Commissioners has passed an ordinance, which seems like about all that you could do at this level. Honestly, I have no other way to try to reclaim my own life. I have no other way. I've tried all the other ways. I've written everybody. I've reported it to all the different people that I could report it to. And this has been the last option that I had, is the right that I have as a citizen to speak publicly on the issue.
Fair enough. I just wanted to ask you because I never have, and I never have been clear about it, so thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Once again, your next speaker is Iwa Front. She'll be followed by Ray Ann Burton. Iwa has been seated 3 additional minutes from Ray Neary. Ray, are you here? Okay, so she will have a total of 6 minutes.
Good morning, everyone.
Can you pull the mic down in front of you there? Thank you.
So I'm here today not to speak about Italian food or golf, which would be probably easier. But I'm here today because of the subject that impacts my life and my community's life on the daily basis. It's that our domestic animal services is still unable to hire a veterinarian to perform spay-neuter surgeries and other surgeries for the past 2 years. The current veterinarian on staff does not perform any surgeries. This resulted in shelter animals being transported to several places all over Collier County. So this is the statistics that I have received from domestic animal services from January through October, basically confirming what I also stated a couple weeks ago during my public comment. If we could go to the next page, Mr. Miller, please. The same,
this is
yes,
it, yeah.
it's the same, just if you could scroll down. Yes, thank you. So as you can see, the outcome for animals in our shelter is that 10% of the felines die in the care of domestic animal services. Does not include the animals that being put down because of the health concerns. So I don't know if that's a neglect or what's happening to those animals, that 10% of the cats are basically dying in the cages. Spay and neuter programs are the most effective and most affordable way to reduce the population of community pets. In this case, a few dollars proactively spent to sterilize pets can save thousands of dollars in taxpayer expenses required to house, care, and home the unwanted animals. I'm kindly asking you to step in, implement your business experience, and secure a veterinarian that is able to provide surgeries for our county. We can hire a headhunter that will be responsible to secure that position. We can look into immigration visa for a veterinarian. I know cases where immigration visa was permitted for way less skills than being a veterinarian. I have sent that information to Domestic Animal Services of a company or firm that does it on the daily basis. We also need to offer a salary that is attractive for this crucial position. The current veterinarian, according to public records, earns $157,000 and it's not performing the surgeries. Current advertised salary for the new hire vet online is only $120 to $180 range, and my understanding is that the Humane Society just hired a veterinarian with starting salary of over $200,000. So there is a big discrepancy. Considering that Humane Society employees on DAS advisory board, I'm surprised how ill-advised and poorly researched this offering is. The salary for a veterinarian in Naples starts at least at $200,000 Offering anything less, especially considering the amount of work and responsibility, is insulting. I have requested financial records from domestic annual services through public record request about the cost of the current approach outsourcing these services to private practices. I'm still waiting for these records. I will be happy to report the numbers back to you unless you are able to use your position and help with obtaining these records. Public agency must publicly list their contract opportunities. Was there a bidding process for providing these services that went out to the local practices? 10% of the cats die in DAS care. And so this is very sad. This is why just only last week I was called by my senior neighbor. She found a little kitten in her backyard, and I just kind of refused to bring that animal to domestic animal services because of the animal outcome. And also, let's not fool ourselves and think that other agencies as Humane Society will do the job for our county. I called them. I was able to trap a feral cat last week, and they told me to bring him back in February for a surgery. I'm sure that many of you like to travel. I lived and worked in many tourist destinations across the world and have seen the pet population escalate out of control if proper measures are not taken. I'm here today to tell you that Collier County has become one of these popular destinations that have hundreds of homeless animals roaming the streets. There are certain communities in Collier County that I refuse to go and take my family to because of disheveled free roaming animals. And there are also grants available for spay neuter from non-profit organizations that we can apply to if we hire a proper veterinarian.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's it. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Ray.
Can I?
Go ahead, please.
Can I ask any of you to stay in touch and promise that we will fill that position after 2 years?
Well, first of all, I'll make some comments because I stay plugged in with DAS, and I think that we all do. They just sent us some photos showing a vet spaying and neutering 30-something cats just recently. So some of what you said has merit, but and we're not going to sit here and debate, but the cats that died, to say, oh, a healthy cat comes to DAS and then they die in the cages, that's actually not true. A lot of unhealthy cats that have been injured, attacked, get to DAS, and some of that 10% are cats that were going to die in the road and then came to DAS, and so that sort of counts against them a bit. We have been doing everything possible to get in a vet, but if you looked at the statistics across the country, veterinarians are very in high demand and low quantity. Humane Society is a private organization, so when they have somebody that writes a $2 million check and gives them a donation, I have no doubt they can hire a $200,000 veterinarian. We're doing it with taxpayer dollars. So when you're dealing with taxpayer dollars, we can do anything, but we can't do everything. But we have exponentially increased the price of a vet. But while we're waiting for a permanent vet, we've had contracted vets come there and take care of business. I mean, I've been there personally, I've seen it. So it's not that the dogs and cats are all sitting there without a vet for 3 years. What we're doing is we're paying a contracted person to come, but we don't have the permanent folks there. So the public comment is just for you to make comment. But I did want to say some things. I don't want to say in defense of DAS but I do want to say as in support of them, because they take a lot of shots, but we've spent a lot of time down there as well and have had meetings up here asking a lot of the similar questions that you've had and maybe have done a deeper dive. It's saying a generic statement of 10% of the cats die under DAS. Well, 9.9% of those cats maybe came there and they were terminal, and DAS did what they could. I'm just using that as an example. So, but
include the cuts that were authorized for
Okay.
health reasons.
Well, your reply to us, are we doing anything about it, is yes. This isn't new information to us. DAS is on a very short list, and Mr. Rodriguez, Dan Rodriguez, our deputy county manager, is intimately involved. So you have the highest level of leadership of the county staff that's been, I don't know if you want to make some comments, but he's been sending us a lot of information as well about DAS. So I don't want you to leave feeling like you just spoke for 6 minutes and we didn't hear you, but DAS has been something that we've been working really hard to improve, over a short period of time.
Sir, if I could
Absolutely, and thank you, Commissioner.
say something.
Let me hear from Mr. Rodriguez.
Yeah, and thank you, Commissioner. For the record, Dan Rodriguez, your Deputy County Manager. The public speaker does have some great points, and absolutely, it's challenging. Domestic Animal Services has a huge demand. If you look at the size of our county, over 2,000 miles of county, the second largest county east of the Mississippi, we have a lot of strays. But I will tell you that Domestic Animal Services, with the limited staff and the small budget, they process more animals than any humane society that I know here in the Southwest Florida region. They have a 94% release rate. So that means for every animal that comes to Domestic Animal Services, whether dog, cat, and other animals, 94% gets released. I would challenge anybody to see those kinds of numbers in other facilities. That being said, we have more work to do. Any animal that has the opportunity to be saved or rescued, that's where we rely on private organizations like the Humane Societies. Your Domestic Animal Services Director, Marcy Perry, has partnered with many and has shipped out many animals to humane societies and a lot of other rescues outside of Collier County, outside of the state of Florida. If you get a chance and you sit down and look at some of those statistics, we move a lot of animals. I think the Humane Society, we have met, the county manager, myself, have met probably twice in the last 2 weeks with the Humane Society. They've come out to our facility. As you stated, we've done spay and neuter just this week with the Humane Society. Actually, it was last week, Thursday or Friday. I think they spayed 40-plus animals with that new vet that they had. And so that's just one opportunity. Every week we get animals, we get veterinarians that come that we pay for, and they spay and neuter so we can keep the animals moving into adoption. In addition, we're looking at other opportunities to reduce the population in the kennels. And we're looking to partner with Humane Society that maybe after several weeks, several months, those animals get transferred out of Domestic Animal Services and potentially go to the Humane Society where they can help place those. We have over 280 volunteers that do a great job in helping to take care of the animals. We're looking to them as well to help us place more animals. So things are moving in the right direction. We have all of our positions posted. Our director has selected more team members to be at DS. We had a shortage of staff at DS for the last 4 months, but we're picking up speed again. So as far as the veterinarian, you're exactly right. They're in high demand. A veterinarian coming out of college can easily make $220,000. So we're diligent in looking for the veterinarian. And the one veterinarian at our vet, I don't want to say she has limited skills, but she does a great job in helping to stabilize the animals that do get there, give them their treatments. There's a lot of work. So
Absolutely, and I'm not discounting any of that, what you said, sir. However, I'm just looking for a reasoning behind the current veterinarian that does not perform surgeries earning about $160,000, while the offer for a new veterinarian that is supposed to perform the full-time job, including surgery, is within the range of $120,000 to $180,000. Why wouldn't you change that? Because many people go, I know if I go and search for a job, you also look at the salary. So if you increase that salary, that would help to weed out lots of potential people that are trying to actually apply. And to your point, yes, I understand that there is a huge overpopulation. This is why I got involved hands-on, because I've seen broken animals, hurt animals, and I have young children. I don't want them to witness this suffering every day. So
Okay, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate it.
Yes, so please change that. If you really, really want to hire someone.
We have been increasing that, so it's the population of veterinarians who want to work at DAS they're not marching through the front door. If you've got a connection of somebody that wants to work at DAS and they're a trained vet, and you think that our salary is too low or they're interested, connect them with Marcy Perry is what I would tell you. But I know that we've cast a very wide net, and across the country, we're not the only domestic animal services that doesn't have a full-time vet. So it's not just us and nobody else. So thank you.
Were you able to hire a headhunter to look for that position as well?
Yes.
Commissioners, we can get with the speaker offline and
Okay.
talk to her about our recruitment.
Okay.
Your next speaker is Rayanne Burton. She'll be followed on Zoom by H. Michael Mogill.
Good morning, Commissioners. Since this is the last BCC meeting for the year, I want to present you with a small reminder of an event past. Remind you that Golden Gate Estates is a rural community of unique qualities, wildlife environment, and existing residential living, that it needs to be protected and preserved against uncontrolled dense development. Remind you that you work for the taxpayers to protect existing environment, wildlife, and residents living already in the estates. Remind you that development decisions can be either enhance the estates or destroy its uniqueness. Remind you that decisions are not to be based only on what you think should be done or what the developer wants, but also on what the actual residents living in the area actually need, their concerns and wants. Therefore, I created these glass Christmas ornaments to remind you that the residents want a say in what happens in their backyard. In hopes that in 2024, this board will listen to your constituents' voice, those living in the area, and be wise as King Solomon. We know our needs, our wants, and it isn't dense communities, high-rises, or storage units. Golden Gate Estates is rural, not urban. These projects need to be on major roads, not within the rural estates. Yesterday around 5 p.m., I spent 50 minutes driving 13-plus miles on Golden Gate Boulevard to Everglades to get home due to an accident on the corner of Vanderbilt Beach Road and Collier Boulevard. Vanderbilt, the very road that a project was approved for dense housing to be built between Village Walk and the cemetery with a promise of affordable housing, which impacted residents protested against. My prayer for this coming year is that the commissioners work with the residents of the estates to create growth that is beneficial to man and animal by building controlled growth that adheres to the growth management plan to keep the estates rural. Thank you, and do have a Merry Christmas and a safe holiday. And I have your gifts right here.
Your final speaker for item 7 is on Zoom, H. Michael Mogill. Sir, you should be getting prompted to unmute yourself at this time. Hold on a minute. I don't see that happening. Okay, there it is. Sir, you should be getting prompted to unmute yourself at this time. I see you're unmuted. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. My name is...
Hold on a minute, Michael. You're real low here. Okay, go again, sir.
Okay, let me make
Go again.
a little louder at my end, too. All right, starting anew. Good morning. My name is Mike Mogul. I've lived in Naples since 2005, and as you all know, I often contribute to these meetings, either in person or online. I prefer the in-person approach because it's just more personal. On November 14th, I attended a meeting in person. Unfortunately, I arrived a little before 10 a.m. due to traffic, and I missed the earlier public comments item. There was a gentle schedule, I was advised, so the window was moved up and ended a few minutes before I arrived. To accommodate me, I was advised that there was another window open at speaker item number 15, I believe, on which I could speak. I waited. As the meeting unfolded, lunchtime arrived. The chair asked if there were any items that could be addressed quickly. The coordinator, the moderator, advised one public speaker and another item. I don't remember what the other item was. The chair decided to terminate the session without allowing for the one 3-minute public speaker, me. I had already waited 2 hours to speak and now was put on hold for at least the lunch hour. I felt totally disenfranchised. For the record, I wanted to talk about anti-Semitism, and now I have to wait until the next commissioners' meeting in January to address that topic. That will amount to an 8-week delay. The commissioners provide time certain for specific actions, large projects, developers, government officials, etc. I am asking that a similar consideration be provided for Collier citizens for both the 10 a.m. morning comments and the secondary public comments, potentially item 15 at the November 14th meeting, that might be just prior to lunch. I noted your comments about the 10 a.m. time certain for item 10 this morning, and your raised concerns about public speakers. This was not the case on November 14th. Citizens have jobs, kids, and lives. Being made to spend so much time at a meeting without the ability to speak should be granted implicitly. I urge the commissioners to adopt a policy that guarantees the right of a timely public speaking at the meeting. We are just as important or more important to the process than just developers, businesses, and government officials. We should be encouraged to speak about important matters, not discouraged. I intend to submit these comments formally later today. I just need to know to whom I should submit them, to you, the chair, or some other individual or office in Collier County. I look forward to a prompt, positive action on this important matter. Thank you.
Yeah, you can send those to me directly, sir. But I mean, I will tell you, if I knew we had one speaker before lunch, I don't think I would take a 1-hour lunch and not hear from a 3-minute speaker. So I don't have recollection of the way that you packaged your comments. But having said that, I'll say that these commissioners actually have increased public speaking. That item 15 that you referred to at the end of our agenda is something that never existed before. So we wanted to make sure that at the beginning of the agenda and at the end of agenda, we caught any public speakers. And if you notice, when the light turns red, we don't kick people out the door. So I don't know if something fell through the crack where you were the lone public speaker and we had some sort of technical difficulty. But I'm really proud of how we have I don't want to say allowed people to speak. It's their right to speak, but we make sure that we allot maximum time for it because we greatly value it. So I don't know if Mr. Miller has any recollection on the 14th of sitting on one public speaker and we kicked it for an hour, but that's not something that any of us would do knowingly.
Mr. Mogul has spoken several times. I don't know what instance he's referring to. I know he said something about either me or the county manager. I don't remember that at all, sir.
Okay. Well, I look forward to getting your detailed comments, sir. And we take great pride in the public speaking portion both times during our agenda when we have these meetings.
That is all of our speakers under item 7, sir.
Okay.
Commissioners, that brings us to our 11 o'clock time certain. This is item 11C. This is a recommendation to have the board hear a presentation by Resource X relative to board direction to recommend an approach to achieve improved budget priority alignment, efficiency, cost containment, accountability, and transparency. We do have representatives here from Resource X. I know Mr. Finn has some opening comments, and we just, as staff, want to extend a thank you. You had allowed Commissioner Hall to be the board's spokesperson on this process as we moved through talking to multiple firms. He and Louise helped us tremendously with this process, so thank you to Commissioner Hall and to Louise on that. With that, I'll hand it over to Mr. Finn for his opening comments, and then we will move on with the presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Edward Finn, Deputy County Manager. I echo Amy's comments. Thank you, Commissioner Hall. Your involvement in this was very beneficial. I look forward to the presentation. This is a follow-up to our 24 budget process. The board requested Commissioner Hall, along with the county manager, to work towards identifying qualified consultants to review our budget process. They've done so. Couple of things we want to tick off. We're looking for greater efficiency, of course, cost containment, accountability, transparency, and of course we want to continue our high level of service. 12 firms were looked at, narrowed down to 3. The 3 were most responsive and most aligned with the thinking of the group looking at this. And of those 3, we have Resource X here. They stood out. Flexibility of implementation, a number of other government projects, overall responsiveness through the screening process stood out, I think, for the group responsible for looking at this. With that, I'll introduce Mr. Chris Fabian, CEO and co-founder of Resource X, to provide a presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Finn. Yeah. All right, got my slides here. And thank you to the board for having me here today and allowing me to speak before you. I have a short presentation and very much look forward to any dialogue that we get into. But this is our specialty. We created a new path to budgeting. My own background, I came from county government, and I know the complexities and challenges that a county local government faces and the diversity of services that you provide and the constituents who you serve. I did want to start then with an explanation of who are we, who is Resource X, and why did we have to create a new path to budgeting. The traditional approach to budgeting, line item budgeting, is a tried and true practice. It has been around for, somewhat ironically, 100 years. This is your centennial, 100 years, I noticed today. We actually spoke at the 100-year anniversary of line item budgeting, which was actually 2 years ago. And it was at the exact same time that GFOA, which is the Government Finance Officers Association, as you see here on this document, unveiled its new project around rethinking budgeting. So government finance professionals across the United States and across the world are being moved as an industry to rethink how we budget, to take the best of line item budgeting and why it has served us, but also to recognize that the needs that you all have as decision makers for the budget process have evolved. How have they evolved? The world's changing. Our needs continue to grow. The priorities that you have are not free of charge. And the approach to traditional line item budgeting does not necessarily present you with the options and the data and the analytics to know what some of your considerations might be for finding new resources to fund ever and ever more challenging priorities before you. I start with a handful of examples from county government. Josh Shulman, who's county executive, the equivalent of County Manager Patterson, has been implementing priority-based budgeting since 2015 in Washington County, which is in the Milwaukee area of Wisconsin. The outcome of Washington County's work has been nothing short of reallocating over 15% of their budget. How do they do that? They systematically scour how every dollar is being invested into each and every program they provide, whether or not those programs align with the board's priorities, and opening up opportunities for reallocation through partnership, through efficiency, through entrepreneurial revenue recovery options as well. Josh and Washington County's work has been highlighted here in this book, Financial Foundations for Thriving Communities. This is our goal, is that every local government, every county will have this skill set for resource reallocation. Ultimately, zero-based budgeting, which is the approach that you are hoping to take, and I'll walk us through how it relates to priority-based budgeting, is simply a tool. The budget process is a means to an end. Towards what end? Towards getting the resources properly channeled and aligned to fulfill the priorities that you stand behind. In order for us to do that, we are taking a look at two of your primary levers, which include spending your current budget differently. So how do we confidently understand where we can free up and reallocate resources that are currently spoken for in your budget process? So that'll be a key outcome of your work. And secondly, looking at new revenue sources where they could possibly exist. Our strategies and our approach on freeing up and reallocating resources will entail looking at sourcing opportunities where you have partnership considerations overall for every program that you provide. We'll be looking for program efficiencies, every program that you provide, and is there a different way to provide it, which could free up resources. And ultimately, looking at service levels. Look, there are some programs and services that you offer that might have been aligned in the past that we should reconsider. Are they still aligned with the priorities of the county looking towards the future? So priority-based budgeting and zero-based budgeting organizations will reconsider service levels where you could sunset a program, maybe provide a little less of that program if it meant freeing up and reallocating resources that you could provide to high-growth programs in need. Similarly, on the revenue side, while freeing up and reallocating current budget is critically important, we'll also be challenging departments to look at every program for an entrepreneurial revenue generating opportunity as well. So looking at fees and charges, scouring cost recovery, looking at insourcing opportunities, as you have just mentioned earlier in this meeting. So outsourcing for freeing up resources, insourcing for generating revenue, and included in that will be grant funding opportunities as well. As other organizations have followed this path, here, as you see, another county government in the Edmonton area of Alberta, Canada, they have reallocated over $55 million to invest in new programs that need to grow without asking the taxpayers for another single dollar of contribution overall. This is what we see is imperative across the country, and certainly for your organization, no different. How are we going to be able to find ways to resource key priorities in front of us when we know it's awfully difficult and sometimes unacceptable to be asking for our constituents for more resources? I did want to make mention that Collier County is a substantial organization. You're a large county government with abundant resources, and we've worked with many organizations of your caliber as well, here from the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to Fort Worth, Texas, Albuquerque, New Mexico, to Kansas City, Missouri, Denver, Colorado, where I come from, where it's very cold, and I'm happy to be in Naples today, and Salt Lake City, Utah, to name a few. Here, Mayor Peduto referencing how they reallocated $41 million from their approach with priority-based budgeting to ensure that they are funding their top priorities from safety, economic growth, infrastructure, and sustainability, again, through that systematic evaluation of every program and the options that you have. I did want to illustrate for you how we will do this. So the first value proposition of priority-based budgeting is indeed from your board memo, priority alignment. How do we reframe the budget process not to simply state what your priorities are, but to ensure that the budget is aligned with achieving those priorities? When I was in county government, my own board presented me with the budget that we had just adopted when all of this work was being beckoned. And this is a traditional line item budget for which we had spent months on end debating various spending decisions and giving it thoughtful consideration. And at the end of the day, my own board challenged my department, to say, show me where I look in the budget document to find out, are we getting safer? What programs are we investing in that actually connect and influence the overall increase in safety for our community? Are we funding economic vitality? How does this budget invest in infrastructure? And we realized that the tools that we had to bring to bear in the budget process needed modernization. So in order to do that, we will start with your strategic plan. We will take a look at your board priorities. We'll work with you to make sure that we understand clearly what your priorities are and how you define them overall. This being an illustration from one of our communities of a safe community is a key priority, economic vitality, and here shared prosperity. We want to be able to look at your budget from a results first perspective and be able to say, for any given outcome that you're striving to achieve, safe community to shared prosperity here, how much are we investing in this particular result? And how do we know what we're investing in that result area? What are the programs that align with it? So we will come to understand across all of the departments, every program that they provide, the cost of providing those programs, and the impact that those programs have with strategic board priorities, from safe community to economic vitality, here to shared prosperity as an example. I think what's been really interesting in the work is to realize that for any given result area, it's not just one department or another that owns that key result. So take safety. Of course, your sheriff and the programs provided by the sheriff's office will have strong alignment with achieving that result. But we also just talked about DAS and programs that they provide will have something most likely to do with improving and enhancing the safety of the community, as will growth and development, quite potentially the county manager's office. So we will see across every department the programs they provide and the alignment or lack thereof with the results that you're trying to accomplish. And what a difference that will be from line items alone, getting to the program specific level to be able to see that. As it pertains to transparency, many of our communities, cities and counties alike, have chosen to take the data that they put together and actually showcase it towards their constituents, towards their residents overall. So this will be a part of the package that we offer, is how to take that data from a results-first perspective and provide it to residents in a way that is understandable. From a resident perspective, they care about results in their community, but they also want to see accountability in terms of how the programs align with those results, what you're investing in, how much you're investing in those particular programs, and the various options that you've considered in order to understand if these are the best options for program prioritization. Last but not least, as we get into the budget process itself, for every key strategic priority that you have, departmental budgets will be illustrated by way of the programs that you are funding. So programs are a how in order to achieve the why. Programs are a choice in order to achieve a strategic priority. And as every budget proposal comes before you, as you see illustrated in these automated reports that come from our work, you will be able to know, does this proposal link to a program that actually impacts our priorities to a high degree? Is this proposal mandated to a certain degree? Does it recover its costs? What do we know about change in demand for this particular program? So trying to offer you data and analytics to help support your decision making. GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, talks about the role of a budget practitioner today as a decision architect, meaning that we are here to provide the data, provide the analytics, to ultimately support you all, as at the end of the day, you have the tough decisions to make that impact policy. Second, I wanted to move into the next value proposition, which is central to efficiency, cost containment, and looking at your options overall. At the end of our work, at the end of our analysis, how we get to that 10% or 15% resource reallocation that we described earlier is that we're able to document how much of your budget is invested in, as you see here on the screen, programs that are not mandated whatsoever, programs where demand is decreasing. What about programs that are offered by another organization where a partnership could occur? What about programs that are less aligned with the priorities that you're striving to achieve or don't recover their costs? This being illustrative of how we will slice and dice the data to understand the programs you're providing that meet this criteria that lend themselves well to discussions, for example, around partnership, efficiency, cost recovery. So our approach is to analyze the data first, bucket the programs around key opportunity areas, and not draw any immediate conclusions, but to bring them back to say, these are the types of recommendations and program changes that other organizations in your shoes make in order to free up massive amounts of resources, to have readily available resources to reinvest in programs that need to grow, where demand is increasing, population served is high, degree of mandate is high, alignment with your strategic plan priorities is also high. So it's a trade-off, and that's what we're going to help you to drive overall. Again, following that blueprint, that priority-based budgeting blueprint to get there. To quickly illustrate how this works, this was from the city of Pittsburgh. I thought I'd share with you one tangible example of a line item that everybody knows, postage. We can all imagine how we invest in a line item in our budget, like postage in the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, is around $1 million. And like you, like any organization, they could, before we started our work, understand what departments are driving their postage budget. So you have your water department, your parks and finance department responsible for driving a cost like postage. Intuitively, city leadership understood that we ought to be able to, in this modern era, save money on our postage budget. And so your instinct is to want to maybe reduce that by 10%. The question, as you see here in kind of the murkier part of the slide, is that it is not immediately clear what you would be impacting if we reduce a postage budget in any of those given departments. What are the consequences of a reduction of 10% or 50%? In priority-based budgeting and your goals for zero-based budgeting, we will dive into the programs that drive a line item cost within any of those given departments. In a water department, of course, mailing utility bills is a program that drives a postage budget. So we can study that, and we can come to understand, what if we go paperless? What if we come up with other options to provide that program, thereby freeing up our postage budget? It's sending out notices in the mail or collecting samples for water quality and sending them back to the lab. how can we get to the program data specifically to study how we would make programmatic changes to save money in the line item budget, free up, reallocate those resources. That's how we're going to be able to accomplish feats just like you saw with the city of Pittsburgh and their $41 million resource reallocation. Last but not least, in the final few minutes, I wanted to talk about some practical next steps. So at a very high level, here's what our process will look like. We know that from your work heretofore, you have a line item budget. We also know that you have some level of program delineation already. You have a start. We will leverage that in our work to take advantage and not have to start from scratch. But the thesis behind priority-based budgeting and zero-based budgeting is we don't just want to know the line item detail. We want to know how those line items connect to the programs that you provide. So we'll create a program inventory. We will cost allocate your budget to the programs and services to come up with that cost. We will score and evaluate those programs against basic program attributes, which include degree of mandate. Is this program mandated? Who's mandating it? Is it a federal mandate? Is there a state government mandate? Is it something in your own policies, local ordinances? We'll study change in demand. We'll study cost recovery, population served, and opportunity to partner with other entities, both public sector, nonprofit, and private sector. The yellow layer is impact on your strategic plan. So every program will be evaluated in terms of impact, not just on the priority that it fits into the best, but against all of the priorities of local government. That is the driver for prioritization. A program that has the greatest degree of impact on your priorities is mandated, recovers its costs, demand is going up, is a high priority program, as differentiated versus programs that have less to do with your strategic priorities, are less mandated, population served is low, and so on and so forth. Ultimately, that drives a program's future direction. Where are we headed with it? And that is the leap from line item budgeting to zero-based budgeting, as you will come to understand. With staff, we will propose a timeline that includes how we get started, how we build relationships with the departments, how we begin to collect that data with a combination of on-site support. We're going to be here with you all to do this work. There's a lot of rolling up of the sleeves to get the data put together. I will also share that because we have implemented this over 300 times in various local governments across the country, we have a unique database of programs, those program costs and scores that we will bring to bear to help support departments and make their life easier and their work easier overall. We actually have predictive analytics as well to offer to the departments who participate to shrink their work and allow them to take advantage of those who have gone before them in implementing this priority-based budgeting process. Ultimately, we know that your budget process kicks off in earnest in March. And so all of our work is heading towards these two punchline deliverables, resource reallocation opportunities, what we call ROI, return on investment opportunity areas, both on the budget reallocation side and revenue generation, leading into budget development and support, which again will begin here in March and carry on into your deliberations and consideration of proposals from departments overall. That marks the end of my presentation. I wanted to give you an orientation of what this can begin to look like. I'll simply close before turning it over for question and answers to say we're extraordinarily passionate about this work. I come from the public sector. I come from county government. We fully recognize that for you to be able to meet the key priorities of this community, we need resources available. In order to get there, we have to study how your resources are being invested and prioritized today. We look forward to the opportunity to support your work. With that, I'll welcome any questions.
Before I turn it over to Commissioner Hall, because I know he's got a lot to say, I just wanted to, on behalf of all of us, thank him for being our point man on this. You know, we gave ourselves a homework assignment to really dive into the budget and no longer just sort of rubber stamp things and move it along. And we cut a lot of spears and rocks for some of the things that we did during our budget meeting that went to 2 a.m., 2:30 in the morning. But it was because we were dedicated to really taking a deeper dive than maybe had ever been done before. If you want to make changes changes to the budget, if you want to roll back taxes, you don't just do that and pat yourself on the back and walk out, because the homework assignment we gave ourselves is we believe there's efficiencies and waste in all governments, and we're tasked to find it in this one. And so we really look for your expertise to shake the trees a bit and see maybe where we're not spending our dollars wisely. And so I know we felt very comfortable making some really aggressive moves on the budget to put pressure on ourselves and our county staff to not just say it's business as usual and, we had X number of dollars last year and, we always get 5% more every year. That business as usual isn't going to cut it for us. And so, Commissioner Hall's our point man on this, and we're all dedicated to working with your company to do that. The last thing I'll say before I turn it over to him is I think all of us feel our job's not to just collect money from citizens, but to manage it. And we know we can do a much better job managing it here in Collier County. And so we look for your expertise to help us, not just collect money from people blindly, but to take the dollars that we get, to value them at a very high level and make sure that, every penny counts. And we know we've got, you're going to have a lot of work to do because we know that in many areas of this county government, it can be done much better. So we look for your expertise, especially the successes you've had at other places, benchmarks. Every county's different, but I'm sure there's things, like you said, you're not starting from square zero, and neither are we. We've got the reason why we're so committed is because you have 5 commissioners up here that have done some big things in business before and we might not have the answers, but we know what something looks like when it doesn't look right, and we've got a bit of that. So, I thank you for your expertise, and Commissioner Hall, sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. So just to let the public know what the process has been up to this point is after the budget meeting, we picked up the ball and we implemented some AI technology and asked the artificial intelligence and opened up a conversation with them with some hard questions. We were looking for someone with government experience. We were looking for someone in Southwest Florida, someone that had some fruit behind their things, and we didn't get anybody. So we broadened the conversation to go globally or nationally, and we started getting some responses for companies who would fit those criterias, and we got, I think, 12 initially. And before I get into that, I do want to thank the county manager and her staff. They have embraced this process completely, fully, and so in the narrowing down, we had several questions that we asked everyone. We wanted to know what their experience was with zero-based budgeting or priority-based budgeting. We wanted to know what their approach was. We wanted to know what technologies or what tools that they used, or if they were just tools only, or if they were in person and up close and personal along with the tools. We wanted to know how they handled change management, because when you start getting into a budget, there's going to be change. And we wanted someone who handled that change well and someone who had experience with handling that change. We wanted to know the fruit of other people that they've dealt with. He's mentioned the city of Pittsburgh. He's mentioned Washington. He's mentioned, Salt Lake City and other cities. I talked to the actual guy that they worked with at the city of Fort Worth. And he had nothing but good to say about him. He said everything that they're telling you they're going to do. And that meant a lot to me in the process, because in our world, a lot of times people tell you something and they don't really do what they tell you, if you catch my drift. We wanted to know what their sustainability was, the changes that they implement. Can we sustain that? Or is this something that we have to go through year after year after year? We wanted to know what kind of support they offered. So those are just some of the questions. And then, they answered those well. That's why they're here in front of us. We also asked the big question that was on my mind from the get-go, and that's how much. And we had answers across the board from, we'll charge you 10% of what we save you. So if we save you $150 million, we'll charge you $15 million. We had people give us a flat fee that was 3 to 4 times what the presenters have brought forth. But their approach to helping the budget was a flat fee that was pertained to every division that they were able to help, which resulted in 3 to 4 times less than anybody else that was close to them. So I wanted to mention that to the boards to let you know how we came about, how we got Chris and Ryan here in front of us. And with that, I'll open up the floor to any questions.
Commissioner McDaniel.
Yeah, good morning, by the way. I'm really, really happy you're here. I really want to thank Commissioner Hall for taking the lead and going through the process, working with our staff. I've been watching from the side. And this is something that I long have sought. And that's one of the reasons why I even ran to become a county commissioner. It was explained to me in this analogy about Collier County being a very, very large ship. And in our private lives, as I like to say, in my small dictatorships that I'm in charge of, when I don't like the direction that my ship's going, I grab the wheel and crank it. You can't do that here. This is an extremely large ship, and we all know that if you turn a ship too sharply, cargo containers start spilling off the side. People start going over the rail. In an estimate, and I realize it's just an estimate at this stage, conservatively, what's the time frame that we're looking at here for us to procure a direction shift and how we're moving forward?
Thank you, Commissioner. I fully appreciate how you set the context for the question that you're asking. And I think it's very practical that you would appreciate that it takes time to see these changes take place. I mentioned Washington County earlier, and they've been implementing since 2015. They've been practicing this approach to budgeting. And I'll use that as an example that ideally this will change the way that you budget forevermore. This will be something that in every year that you continue to go through this work, you will build and evolve so that 8 years later, you're still learning things and considering things differently. And this process will give you the steering wheel, to keep your analogy going, and the dashboard to always know where something maybe isn't quite how you anticipated, and you can analyze it and probe it and poke it. At the same time, I do want you to have confidence that in this day and age, we in local government, as local government leaders and decision makers, don't have time to wait for 8 years to see results. In Fort Worth, as Commissioner Hall had referenced in our work with the city, their first effort, they needed to see resource reallocation opportunities in their first year. When we implemented in the city of Pittsburgh, it was in the heart of COVID running rampant throughout local government, and they needed to have savings identified within their first year. You will have options in front of you to reconsider your budget in your first year of implementation. That has to be the case. So I have 2 points. One is that change management, this represents a cultural shift in the way that we're considering data, how we understand the cost of our programs and our options. When you come up with a recommendation like partnering or changing a service level, some of those will have different timelines in front of you to make those changes overall. But at the same time, we have to have real tangible results within your first year of doing work.
Thank you.
Commissioner Saunders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start off by thanking Commissioner Hall for really spearheading this. I think it's going to make a world of difference, and so I want to just express my appreciation for that. But I want to say to Resource X that you do have 5 commissioners that are fully supportive of making this work. And so I know our staff will be committed to it, and I'm also kind of saying this to our staff, that all 5 of us want to make sure that that this process works and results in some reorganization and some savings potentially. But more important than necessarily than savings is reallocation to make sure that whatever resources we have, we're spending them most appropriately. So again, Commissioner Hall, thank you for your leadership on this.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Do you have any questions from the county manager staff at all?
No, sir.
Okay. I think think that's about it. We got to get to work.
Thank you very much.
And, you know, not only are we committed, but we have to think differently. So I think you're going to bring a lot of that to the table here. And so, you know, we look for your expertise to partner with us and, you know, turn over some rocks and, you know, blow some dust away because, you know, this isn't the 1970s county, you know, that it was way back when. And so we realize that, and we've charged ourselves with this challenge as well and made some difficult decisions on the budget that we felt very comfortable with because we know that there's going to be some success, big success that comes out of this and balances things much better and runs us much more efficiently, and like Commissioner Saunders says, and make sure that we're spending the taxpayer dollars in the right spots and at the right amounts. So sounds like you've done this for some others. So let's get to it.
Get to it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Do we need to make a motion to accept the proposal?
Yes, so if we could just position this really quickly so you all know what the next steps will be. So we're looking for your direction to move forward. We would now work with ResourceX to finalize the scope of services proposal and fees, which we would then bring back to the Board of County Commissioners for your approval. We've been advised by the county attorney as to the extent of my authority. Under the procurement ordinance, this is going to require an additional action by the board to execute a contract with ResourceX. But now what we'll do is work together with them to be sure that our scope is correct, that we know kind of the order we're starting in, and it will all be reflected in what we bring back to you in January.
So is our motion now to pursue solidifying a contract with ResourceX?
Yep, you would be directing the county manager and the county attorney to work on that proposal scope and then bring the contract back to the board.
Okay. Well, it's only appropriate that Commissioner Hall make that motion.
I'll make the motion to move forward with county staff.
I'll second it. So we got a motion from Commissioner Hall, a second from Commissioner LaCastro to move forward with the contract. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passage unanimously. Let's get to work.
Thank you.
Good job, Ryan.
County Manager, what, you know, as I'm just sitting here, we have a time certain at 1. I want to at least have a 1 hour lunch break because we all have some work to do during lunch. So what can we squeeze in between now and breaking at noon?
Yes, sir. So next up would be item 9A. I don't believe you'll have, even if you have a little discussion on that, there's probably not a tremendous amount. This is a recommendation to adopt an amendment to the Collier County Citizens Corps Ordinance in order to add a membership category for the United Way, remove Civil Air Patrol, and replace with Collier-ready community organizations active in disaster, and revise the quorum requirements. This is the companion item to 16K1, which was approved on the consent agenda, and Mr. Dan Summers was here. Oh, here he is, and he is here to answer any questions.
Commissioner Saunders, you're lit up.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve that. We had a full discussion of that when it was first presented. So
Okay, got a motion approved from Commissioner Saunders, a second from Commissioner McDaniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passage unanimously.
Commissioners, if you'd like to jump around a little bit, we could take item 11B. This is an item that's on the agenda simply because of the dollar amount and probably for really no other reason. This is a recommendation to award invitation to bid number 23-8096 Pelican Bay New Maintenance Facility to Heatherwood Construction Company in the amount of $5,340,571. Authorize the chairman to sign the attached construction services agreement and approve the necessary budget amendments. And Mr. Finn and representatives from Pelican Bay are here to answer any questions, should you have any.
Commissioner Saunders?
Again, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion to approve from Commissioner Saunders, a second from Commissioner McDaniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. That was 11B.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Great, Chad.
I don't want anybody in the audience to think they're speeding, but we've taken these presentations prior to this meeting. So this is just the official approval of them.
The remaining items, Commissioners, we have 9B and 9C. Those are definitely going to take a little bit of time. That's the storage facility items. We do have the AUIR, but it has a companion item, which is the surtax. Again, I believe those are going to require a little bit more of a detailed presentation. If you'd like, we could, I don't believe we have, do we have any speakers on 9F, Troy?
We do not.
If you'd like, we could take 9F. This is a recommendation to approve an ordinance which would create the unpaved private road emergency repair municipal service taxing unit by authorizing a levy not to exceed 1 mil of ad valorem taxes per year. This item is brought to the agenda by Commissioner McDaniel, and Trinity Scott is here to answer any questions. I know we did have a discussion on this at the last board meeting with the permission to advertise. This may be a good one to take before lunch.
Okay. Ms. Scott?
Hold on just one moment. Commissioners, we're here today. We've talked about this multiple times over the past year with regard to our unpaved roads. And by the way, for the record, Trinity Scott, Department Head for Transportation Management Services. A few months back, following a discussion, the board asked the team to go out and assess approximately 120 miles of private unpaved roadways so we could ascertain what level of improvements were necessary on those roadways to make them passable for emergency vehicles. After that direction, we had a meeting to discuss the proposed process and required roadway evaluation with our emergency responders. And then the team set out to actually drive all 120 miles of roads. We had some spirited conversations with the clerk of courts where we were talking with her about the program. And then ultimately this came to a permission to advertise an ordinance that was approved at your last board meeting on consent. The results of the evaluation were 25 individual roadways encompassing just over 13 miles, impacting 625 properties were deemed impassable. The current taxable value for those properties is approximately $61 million, and 1 mil would generate just over $61,000 a year. The estimated average cost per mile is $12,000 to bring these roads to a passable condition. That was a list of the roadways, understanding that that is very small. This is a map of the county. It identifies where those roadways are located around the county. You see several in the Immokalee area, a few off of US 41, and just a few in the Golden Gate Estates area as well. So our recommendation today is to approve an ordinance creating the unpaved road, private road emergency repair MSTU, only for those roadways that were evaluated by the team and identified as needing immediate repairs. Understanding there is no opt-out clause for this, and this is a one-time repair to bring these roadways to a passable condition. This is consistent with a resolution passed by the board in 2015, which establishes procedures relating to emergency repairs of private roads. And if approved, the earliest funds can be levied as FY25 or the 2024 tax year, and the board will establish final millage rates during their upcoming budget process and hearings. And will answer any questions that you may have.
Commissioner McDaniel, do you have anything to answer?
I think that this has come a long way, and I'm really pleased to see this. I've tried for years and years and years, knowing that there was an enormous amount of private roads, a lot of which actually per this about 14 miles are virtually impassable. I think I saw a picture in one of the previous presentations with an entire car sitting in a hole that folks needed to traverse to be able to get in and out, emergency services, trash removal, so on and so forth, schools and the like. So this is a very nice start. We can no longer look the other way and allow these circumstances, because one of our primary jobs is health, safety, and welfare of our community. And it hasn't been accomplished in the old path. This is something that has been done in the past, and I'm pleased to make a motion for its approval.
I got a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by, motion for approval by Commissioner McDaniel, a second by Commissioner Saunders. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Anything else you want to? Let's take lunch and come back at 1 o'clock. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.